It is time for a special holiday edition of our State House Insiders. Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist, Antoine Seawright, our Democratic strategist. Guys, we're just days before Christmas now. Here's a chance for you to talk about what you want for your party as we enter the new year, 2024. Antoine, we'll begin with you. What does Antoine and what do the Democrats want for Christmas?
Well, I want unity in my party. I want to make certain that we understand that the disagreements we may appear to have each other do not compare to the differences we have amongst the extremists on the other side. But more importantly, I want the president to continue to lead in such a way that no matter what political party you subscribe to, you can appreciate his style of leadership. Because democracy, although imperfect, although fragile, and although we're having this battle between whether yesterday was better than today, all the imperfections, all the insecurities, all the things are worth fighting for. And I hope that people will step up and recognize the leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris.
I think one of the biggest things from the Republican side, JR, is that level of unity as well. There's going to be a lot of back and forth that's going to go on as we get into the new year. We've got a presidential preference primary, which is really going to be a hand-to-hand combat, especially for the first 2 months of the year. As we look at Iowa, we look at New Hampshire, we look at South Carolina, leading straight up to Super Tuesday. That's a real thing. But at the state level, I think one of the main things that you're going to see Republicans in the State House focused on is economic development, workforce development. The Speaker of the House has been abundantly clear to the leadership of the House. If it does not have to do with building jobs and building the workforce in South Carolina, it is going to take a back burner when it comes to what goes on at the South Carolina State House of Representatives.
And let's talk about that for just a moment, guys, because lawmakers, they'll be back in just a few weeks now. Dave, what do you see happening in the State House in 2024? Any major issues coming up?
Murrell Smith has said time and again, is going to focus on what it's going to take to get our workforce built up to where it needs to be. South Carolina is a relatively small state, but let's just take what's happened here in the news here in South Carolina in 2023 when we think about what was on with Scout Motors. Scout Motors is coming to the Blythewood area with 4,000 jobs. That's people who need to be trained, who need to be ready for a workforce. There's going to be a lot of energy and effort put forward to what does need to happen in our education system and how does that play into workforce and workforce development and the pieces that go along with that, which is a major focus for a lot of folks behind the scenes in South Carolina right now.
I think no one can argue against economic development. I think the real conversation whether the have or the have-nots benefit. We know that there's a real conversation about whether rural South Carolina benefits in the same way that urban and suburban South Carolina benefits. I grew up in rural Swansea. I live in Lower Richland, where jobs and economic development is key. However, those opportunities don't always trickle down. And so we see this rinse and repeat of certain areas of the state benefiting and others get left behind. I'm hopeful that since the speaker is from rural Sumter, South Carolina, not far from Lower Richland, not far from Swansea or Calhoun County or Orangeburg, that some of the trickle down benefits or economic benefits we've seen to other parts of the state will make their way to the rural parts of the state so that we can lift people from the bottom up.
The other thing, JR, that is really going to come into play is that we've got an election season coming up in South Carolina again. Every single member of the South Carolina House and South Carolina Senate, all their seats are up. That's 170 races that are going to take place, both on the Republican and the Democratic side. So get ready for yard signs, folks, because they're on their way out, because starting in March, the middle of March, people will start filing for office. That'll end at the end of March. And then campaign season gets into full swing at the state level starting in April. And that's going to be a big push right now, especially as we start seeing these other groups coming in on the Republican side, like the Freedom Caucus, and the impact they're trying to make right now.
Just what we all want for Christmas. We want yard signs for the holidays. Guys, Antoine and Dave, Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas, JR. Merry Christmas, Antoine.
Merry Christmas.
All right.